This is Holly G, and you're listening to the Fanboy Buzz on fanboybuzz.com.
Rocketed as a small newborn podcast from a doomed planet, The Buzz vowed revenge as a small child after watching its parents' murder.
Years later, after the radioactive spider on its arm was doused by lightning-struck chemicals during a gamma bomb test, The Buzz set off to use its newfound powers to bring a message of peace to man's world.
Either that, or it's a bunch of geeks talking comics. You decide!
Project Fanboy and Comic Collector Live are proud to present The Fanboy Buzz,
a weekly look at the world of comics, with your hosts, Steve and John Drew.
I'm the only Canadian that says howdy.
Jean-Sebastian.
Look who's talking, Mr. Negative, every single point we bring up.
Steve Boyd.
Is that the real reason that Arnold and Maria split this week?
And Jason Dyer.
JS, do you get that a lot? Do you get people trying to trick you into anal rape? I mean...
And now, the only podcast ever rejected as a Legion applicant for, and I quote, sucking worse than Matter Eater Lad at a buffet, it's Fanboy Buzz time.
Welcome back to yet another episode of your most loved podcast, the one that you wait around each week for, the one that gets you to bed every night. That's right, it's Fanboy Buzz time. This is episode number 84. I am joined today, by the way, I'm Stephen Chandra, but I don't care. I'm joined by the title guy of the show, Jason Dyer.
If you're listening to us before you go to bed, I'm sure you're having horrible nightmares.
And I'm also joined today by J.S. Jean-Sebastian.
Refer to me as the Soul Eater.
Or they refer to you as the guy who just doesn't know how to unmute his mic properly. So that could be too.
Well, it's not any fucking better than Jason fucking T-Pan Dyer.
Hey, if all goes well, people will have no clue what we're talking about. Steve Boyd cannot be around this week. Steve is off. I don't know. He'll explain to you later, because just be in love with Steve and you'll be okay, because he's pre-recorded a few segments for us this evening. So all you Steve fans out there, hang tight. You will hear some Stephen Boyd through this podcast. I also wanted to just share something here, JS, just so you know. I changed my phone plan, and I've got my 10 Canada wide now, so I have added you to my phone. I plan on calling you just because it's long distance, and it'll cost Roger some money, so that's all.
That's cool, man. I'm cool with that.
I don't really want to talk to you. I just want to screw over Rogers.
You can call me at fucking 8 o'clock on Wednesdays when I'm driving home and ask me if I'm online yet.
Hey, JS, are you online yet?
I almost died of an car accident that other night because I was texting you back and like.
Well, whose fault is that?
I'll say it's your fault.
I only get called if it's like after when we're supposed to start recording and I have forgotten about it. That has happened a few times.
That has. It's like, where's Jason? We need him. It's Jason Dyer and guests. Like, it's just not the same.
Yeah, sometimes I forget I'm a little out of it, sometimes.
Also, hey guys, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some guilt that I was having this weekend. So here's my guilt. I went back and I listened to a few of your movie podcasts this weekend because of how awesome they are. By the way, people can go on and check it out. And I felt really guilty that I didn't throw it in the numbering. Like, I feel terrible because, like, they are so good that they should have just been, like, included in our regular numbering. Instead, I just put it as bonus episodes. So I feel
is that a hint that we should continue doing them?
No, that is a hint, but I did enjoy them, and I really felt like a bit of an ass for not including them in the numbering. So I'd like to apologize to you guys. So.
I think I asked for them to not be. If I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted, no way. No, never mind. You're the one who told us that we couldn't have it in the regular numbering.
Well, because
you said the numbers, you didn't want the numbers of the regular numbered podcast to go down the listenership. I believe that's what you said to me.
Well, I feel terrible because they really should have, right? So, you guys have had 5. We could just call this episodes 84 through 89. We could just do that.
I think our best one was the Planet of the Apes one though, and the documentary one.
We should just renumber ourselves. Let's call this episode 89.
Yeah, well, when you know certain subjects, like, a lot, it becomes a better podcast. Like, when we just watch movies and talk about them if they're sort of random, you don't get quite the discussion you get if you have a love for Planet of the Apes and go through 5 movies, or the documentary podcast where we talk about the documentaries, but we also talk about the subjects they were, like, related to, so it goes a whole nother, like, discussion branch. So, you know, some episodes are better than others, of course, just like this show.
Well, anyways, I just wanted to say sorry, and if I could go back and change it, I would, because I quite enjoy them, and they're good. And going forward, we will include them in the numbering. All bonus episodes will go. Because we've done that with movie episodes and stuff, like, you know, just like a comic book movie. We did that Captain America one. And anyways, I'm sorry. I would like to apologize.
Are they included in the stream?
Yeah.
All right. At least there's that.
So that's my apology to you.
See, that apology I take on 3 different levels. The first level is you're the one who told us you didn't think the numbers would be good enough and you didn't want to bring down the listenership. Number 2, it seems like it's a passive-aggressive hint to have me and JS do more podcasts. And number 3, I accept your apology.
Well, it's not a passive-aggressive. I do actually feel bad. And, yeah, I was just thinking about bonus episodes because there's a few ideas that I kind of want to toss around. And then I started listening to your guys' movie and I'm like, wow, that was a dick move. So, anybody got anything you want to get off your chest before we head into news? Any funny anecdotes, Jason?
No, I don't know about anecdote. I've just been watching, like, a shitload of Supernatural, you know, that TV show?
Yeah.
It's been going on for like 7 seasons. I think I'm in season like 5 or so. I don't know. It's not great, but it's not bad. I don't know. It's good enough to keep watching, I guess. It's a bit more interesting than the X-Files in, like, retrospect. But
I want to bring something up. Jason, I would like to do a podcast about the Muppets with you. Oh. Because I saw the Muppet movie on Saturday and or Friday, whichever fucking day. And I was blown away on how meta it was and how much I enjoyed it and how much I missed the Muppets. I did not even mind the singing and dancing. That's how good it was.
Really?
I don't know if it's still playing around here. I'd have to look, because I have not seen it. I haven't been going to the movies lately. The last movie I saw was Immortals, and that movie just did not connect with me on, like, any level. Like, I enjoyed the violence, and I enjoyed the CG, but the plot was so, like, bad and horrible and disjointed logic that I couldn't get into it. And Mickey Rourke's in there for some reason. Oh, it was very off-putting, that movie. I can enjoy violent movies, and I can enjoy really bad movies, but they're good bad. This movie's just bad.
Well, you always make fun of everything that I watch, and I figured today should be no exception, because this past weekend I did go with the wife to see whatever. Is that Breaking Dawn? Whatever that new Twilight movie is.
Oh my god. Are you growing a vagina as we speak? Ever seen that movie?
Edward Cullen. No, I have. It's still not up there with movies that I liked, but it's. I don't know. I kind of liked it the best out of the ones that I've seen, but.
So you've seen all the lead up, so you're kind of a fan, is what you're telling us.
I have a wife.
Movies.
I have a wife, and she has things that I need, or specifically one thing that I need, and she can hold that over me.
Oh, you're a poster boy for marriage, and why not to get it done? Come on, terribleness.
Didn't JS actually like the Twilight movies?
I thought that those were the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. The acting is beyond horrid, and the story is probably written by manatees pushing balls up with words on them.
Well, I actually, it's funny, speaking of Twilight, there was something that I was going to put in news, but it doesn't really matter, but Did you hear about that whole Bill Shatner versus what's her name, Carrie Fisher?
Of course, I've actually watched the videos.
So for those not familiar, William Shatner came out basically making fun of Star Wars. Carrie Fisher came around making fun of William Shatner. Actually, that was reversed. I think Carrie Fisher started first.
She was pissed, man.
She was first. I don't know. Anyways, they got in a little bit of a YouTube feud. They put some YouTube videos on there. Go check them out. They're funny. But then George Takei comes out of left field, and he's like,
"Oh, I didn't see that."
Yeah, George Takei comes out, and he goes, "Well, all of us need to unite against Twilight." So
that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it made me laugh. I think he called it like trash or something like that. It was good.
Well, George Takei is good on the Howard Stern show. He goes on there like a week at a time. Oh my god, he's so hilarious on the show. Talking about how he can't get enough gay sex and stuff like that. And how his husband got like fat over the years and how he doesn't like it. I mean, these things like slip out. Like, because George Takei is like the nicest dude in the world, and Howard Stern gets him just to have those things just slip out, and he gets in trouble with his husband. It's hilarious.
It's a good voice, man. I have to say, George Takei is nice to hear on the radio.
So George Takei, he says, sci-fi fans be warned, there are no great stories, characters, or profound life lessons to be had in Twilight. And then he says, basically, and hopefully rid the world of this vampire menace. So, good on Takei for trying to reunite everybody.
Well, George Takei hates William Shatner.
I know, that's the funny thing about it. Yeah, he can't stand him because he said he was like a pompous jackass on Star Trek.
Yeah, he said some like horrible things about him on Howard Stern. He would tell stories about like how big of a dick Shatner was on the set and how much of a prima donna he was, and it's just hilarious.
So that's kind of what I found funny too, but yeah, that's my laugh of the week for sure. That whole thing.
That's your LOL of the week? Your LOL of the week?
That's my LOL of the week.
Okay, we're never going to have that as a title. That's terrible. I saw the first Twilight because this chick I was dating, she goes, "Hey, you want to see this movie?" And I goes, "What's it about?" She goes, "Oh, you'll love it. It has werewolves and vampires in it." I was like, cool, all right. Knowing nothing about the movie. I get there, and all I remember is glittering vampires, and that one chick is sitting in her room for like 8 months or something. And it just went on forever and ever. Oh my god. I got tricked. Then they just raped vampires in that movie. I mean, just pussyfied them to the worst degree. Yeah. Oh, but I have not seen any since.
There's no words. It's not even vampires.
Well, maybe we should head into our news section here. I wanted to play it again for you, Jason, just because I know.
One that's like 15 seconds too long. Come on.
First up in the news, did you guys catch this poster, this Dark Knight Rises poster that Warner Brothers put out? Steve just sent it to us today. I don't know if you had a chance to look, but it's actually, I'm personally a little let down with it. I don't think it brings anything. Doesn't really make me be like, oh, I got to see that movie. Jason, what do you think about it?
You know you're going to go see it anyways.
Apparently your name's Jason.
I guess it is now.
Stop sending it over to people. We don't fucking care about sending it over. Nobody fucking cares.
Jason Dyer, what did you think of this poster?
I thought it was a poster. You don't get much out of a poster. I mean, really? Okay, so Bane, and there's a broken mask, who cares? Porn, I think, is the only one that puts posters out there that has actual bits of the movie in there. Other than that, movie posters to me, I don't really care, really. Like, I'm not a nerd in that fashion where, like, the most small amount of information comes out or a new image or something where I have to see it, because I just usually don't care, and I usually forget a movie's coming out anyways. So, my take is lackadaisical on it. I could care either way. I mean, whatever.
Mr. JS, because I don't know how.
I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to talk anymore. I'm not important enough.
What do you think about this?
I'm not Jason Dyer, so I'm not cool enough. Fuck this shit.
That's true. That being said, I agree with you, Jason, about checking out every little detail that comes out, because they've been doing that a lot with Star Trek lately. Everybody's like, "Oh, I heard Khan's going to be in the next one. I heard that they're going to redo the movies. Oh, I heard that they're not going to redo the movies." And if you just keep doing that, it's just, you're just going to get let down no matter what you want. And that's why I don't think it's really fair to always be on top of every little detail.
Yeah, the internet has ruined that, I find, from has ruined the internet, not the movie business, but it's ruined. Movies are not as cool anymore because you know so much about them. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool when we were kids. We would have to buy magazines and be like, "Oh, look at that. They're going to do that in the next movie." And it was cool. But now, like, we know, like I used to, I even had, there was a phase in my movie collecting life, or not, when I was like trolling forums to know the most recent news and to know everything about movies. And then just at one point I realized, you know what? This isn't worth it, man. I ruined the movie before I go see it.
Well, we're living in the day of, like, the first trailer comes out and it tells you exactly what the movie's about, or has the best scenes in it. So by the time you get to the movie, it's like, well, all the best scenes were in the trailer, or, okay, the trailer told me exactly what happened in the movie. I find that more and more nowadays. With trailers, ruin it for me more than like anything like posters and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's why I personally, I don't think there's been a good comedy in a long time, because they put all the good, funny stuff in trailers, and you're like, wow, I just went and spent 2 hours of my life to see everything I saw in the trailer.
Yeah, that's the exact feeling. You get that with action movies too. It's like, oh, the best scenes were in the minute and a half trailer.
Because we live in a world where most movies now aren't good. Most movies now are just like fucking, or there's no decent story. I mean, Jason, you were saying you went to go see Immortals. I heard it was the worst fucking movie in ages. I heard it was as bad as Battlefield Earth.
It's not that bad, because the action scenes are really good in Immortals, and the CGI is really good. But the plot is so nonsensical that it just made me hate the movie. You go to a Nicolas Cage movie to see a bad movie, but you enjoyed the bad experience. You went to Immortals and you just had a bad experience. I mean, not even the really cool action scenes could save this film. And I forget what the movie was, but Mickey Rourke dropped out of a big movie to do this movie. Like a much better acting movie, an acclaimed movie. But he did this one, but this one did make a shitload of money, so I don't know if he made the right choice or not. But I remember there was a news article about him dropping out of another high-profile movie for this movie. But he really didn't make the movie better. He just sort of was there and was kind of weird, and he had a terrible helmet.
But you said this one made more money?
This one had a huge weekend. It had like 120 million weekend or whatever the hell it was.
What?
Or maybe that. Yeah, it was huge. It made a shitload of money its first weekend.
Marketed as the sequel to 300, though, or not really the sequel, but it was marketed as from the guys who made 300.
Yeah, that's how it was marketed. So it had a cool look, had great action scenes. But it was just like, it seemed like it was one of those scripts that got rewritten 12 times throughout its life in Hollywood. So it's just disconjointed and doesn't make sense at all.
All right, well, maybe what we should do is go on to the next news point here. There's actually kind of a piece of sad news there. Did you guys hear about Jerry Robinson?
Yeah.
So, Jason, JS, why don't you tell everybody about Jerry Robinson if you're not familiar with him?
Well, wasn't he the guy who invented the Joker?
Exactly.
And I think our, in all fairness, Mr. Boyd had this great, I guess, homage piece where he talks about how he got started working on the Batmans when he was 17, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know this whole story, but in all fairness,
yeah,
Mr.
Steve told us a little bit about it today. Steve actually has kind of put together some of our news points, and he did say that he did start at 17 and was the creator of the Joker. And in 2004, Robinson was actually admitted into the Comic Book Hall of Fame, and Jerry Robinson did die at age 89. So that's pretty sad because the Joker is such a huge character. Jason, what do you think about this?
I'm not a huge comic book historian, but I always respect people that make a cool character. Because I remember seeing the cover for I think it was the first appearance of the Joker. We had this like giant Joker car, and I remember it being like super ridiculous. But it's cool. I mean, you make a character and it becomes iconic. I mean, that's 1 in 100 million shot sort of a thing. So that guy got to see throughout his life, especially towards the end of his life, how iconic his character, that he just thought one day, he's like, yeah, I'll put a fucking clown in there and he'll be like weird and stuff like that, and make it real iconic. The only thing that you don't like to see as a creator like that is he came up with the character, then maybe he didn't like the change to the character over time. I don't remember what his stance was on that, because, I mean, like, as the years went on, the Joker became more psychotic, and at some stories, like, rapists and, crippled and, like, raped, almost like Barbara Gordon and shit like that. So, I don't know if he was in with that, but it is cool to see your character, like, become iconic. But it's a two-edged sword, I guess. I sort of wish Steve was here to tell us, like, what his thoughts are on Jerry and what the character's currently like. I don't know. He'll know. We should ask him next week.
Yeah, he'll probably comment a bit on it next week. Next piece of news that we got going on here is a little piece that I brought to the table. And
a little piece that you brought to the table.
Oh, I know.
Lols.
I knew you were going to jump all over my little piece. It's Superman Family Adventures. Jason, did you hear about the Superman Family Adventures?
I don't know. I've never been really big on the Superman family, so I like Superboy, I like Superman, and, but I don't really care for Supergirl or his super dog or super horse and all that other shit. I'm not a pets person. I'm not a pets person, really. I don't care if it's a super pet.
See, to me, I don't know. This Superman Family Adventures, it kind of sounds lame, to be honest. It sounds super, super disappointing. I don't know. It just doesn't sound like it's going to be any fun at all. JS?
Not going to even touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Wow.
There's shit in this world these days.
I was just going to say, that's your only comment. Not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
No. Not even going to touch that shit.
Wow.
So was it a comic or a series? Yeah, it was a series, right?
I don't know. I think that it's going to be a comic book.
Well, I know it's going to be a comic book. My debate is it going to be an ongoing? Like, is this going to be targeted at children? It looks like it from the little image.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It doesn't.
Maybe it's like the Franklin Richards, of DC. Maybe that's what they're going for. Superhero Squad of DC. Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they're going for the kid audience.
That makes
that's what
sense.
It looks like.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because they don't have anything like that. Oh, you're probably totally right on that.
Because they had that series, I don't know if it's still going on, where it was labeled Johnny DC, and that was, meant for kids and stuff. But I don't know if they're looking to spin this off into a TV show or just an ongoing series or a one-shot to see how many kids pick it up.
It seems like you might be right on the TV series thing. Like, maybe they're going to put this out, they're going to get a little bit out there, and they're going to go, hey, this would make a great TV series. Now, let's put it into TV series and close down the comic book series, right? Because, like, even just the caricature that we've got, on their little preview thing is, I don't know, it seems kind of cartoon-esque. So.
It seems like kids' cartoon work to me.
Exactly.
But they usually keep the comic book going with the successful series, like Superhero Squad has its own comic book. The Teen Titans still have their comic book, even though the show was canceled afterwards, but they had it going on the same time. So there are kids' TV shows that they do link the comic books with them, just to get kids into comic books, like, legit, I guess you could, them actually reading the books instead of just watching the characters on TV. So they're usually a companion, and sometimes you have, like, stuff like Teen Titan Go. I know they were producing it, I don't remember if they did, but it went on for a couple of years after the TV show was canceled, so sometimes it gets that popular.
Well, I don't know. It looks terrible to me, and I don't see myself having any interest in it. Next up on the news agenda here, I've never heard of this convention, but apparently last week, Brazil had FIC. FIC, the International Comic Book Festival. And apparently it beat out SDCC's attendance by 12%. Now, this is interesting to me because BleedingCool.com is reporting that FIC actually, basically, they deal with 5 full days of nothing but comic books. Now, SDCC on the flip side has a lot of other movie and marketing and other shit like that going on. So to hear that something's beating SDCC, which is kind of the premier convention in North America, and by only having comic book content, and
dude, it's Brazil. It's probably bullshit.
So, well, I'm wondering if it's something that, like, is it manga? Like, is maybe like it's out of North America, and Jason's pointed out quite a bit that manga is huge outside of North America. So if this is real statistics, I don't know how they're getting that type of figures. Do you want to speculate on that, Jason?
How much was it, did you say? What was the number?
It was 148,000 in attendance, which is beating SDCC by 12%.
As I said, it's Brazil, dude. It's probably fake fucking numbers. It's bullshit beyond belief.
It's hard to say. I've been to Brazil. Really fun place. Might get kidnapped. I mean, it sort of borders that edge. But I don't necessarily trust results exactly out of Brazil because I know in the MMA world it's hard to gauge like what went on down there. So,
and it's such a fucking corrupt country, man. Sorry if you have Brazil listeners. I'm just not a fan of Brazil.
Well, I am a fan of Brazil because I found it a really fun country, except for the, might get
the only reason why I'm not a fan of Brazil, I'll tell you why. When I went, fucking cops stop you on the fucking street, puts fake fucking drugs in your car, and then say, "Oh, you gotta pay a fine."
Really? Oh wow, yeah. That's brutal.
Well, that's any. I mean, Mexico's worse for that. They just throw you in jail and say, "Give us $150 and we'll let you out." That's what goes on.
Corrupt fucking countries, man. And if I'm not mistaken as well, I think drinking and driving in Brazil is legal, or you're allowed to drink in the car while somebody's driving. Like, there's some stupid fucking law like that just totally fucking retarded.
But some of the hottest chicks in the world are in Brazil.
Yeah, but they're not real chicks. They're men.
No, you're thinking of Thailand.
Fucking Brazil has a lot of lady boys, man.
Maybe we should ask those Brazilian listeners if they're still listening, if you haven't already, made them scared and, pissed them off, JS. Way to go. Way to go.
That's okay. If we lose Brazilian fucking listeners, I'm sure we're not losing much.
Wow, that's like borderline racism.
Well, I guess on JS's horribly offensive note, should we wrap up news? Anybody got anything else?
No, because I thought Steve was going to supply everything, so don't blame me.
Steve is our new supplier.
Yeah. The fuck happened there?
I don't know. He did. He supplied it. Well, then let's just go on to Steve's pre-recorded CCL Pick the Week.
Exiled from the only life he knew and forced to live among us after the crisis on Infinite Earths, Earth 2 Steve valiantly strode forward into a brave new world collecting comics. Following his heightened sense of smell up and down the mean streets of the information superhighway, Earth 2 Steve joined forces with the Buzz, winning the hearts and minds of 40-year-old fanboys with his Comic Collector Live Comic of the Week.
All right, Steve Boyd coming at you for this week's Comic Collector Live Pick of the Week, and I went with IDW's G.I. Joe number 8. It's political intrigue, Cobra style. It's been said that heroes are only as good as their villains. Now, for the last several months, Cobra has pretty much stole the show in IDW's title about the real American hero, and this issue, G.I. Joe number 8, is no exception. The crowning of the new Cobra Commander after the death of the original has been brewing for months in the pages of the Joe titles, and as the cover denotes, it all comes down to a proverbial head with this issue. What makes this book so interesting is that I don't really need to read the entire Cobra Civil War storyline in order to get right back in on the action. Now, spoilers. Do not listen any further if you don't want to know what happens in this story, okay? Alright. First off, the cover of this book features the first of its kind that I can recall, a scratchable cover that's supposed to reveal the identity of the new Cobra Commander. But if you take a good hard look at this cover and think logically, you can figure out who the new commander would be. The politics of this issue seem to far outshine any of the other plot threads in the comic book, as I found myself flipping to the pages of story concerning the High Council's decision on the new Cobra Commander. And in the end, it all comes down to Major Blood, Satori, and Crake. But in typical backstabbing and villainous fashion, Satori is revealed to be Zartan in disguise, and Crake steps up to take credit for the entire villainous plot twist. This impresses the Cobra High Council so much that Crake is crowned the new Cobra Commander. Now, as someone that's used to tricks of marketing and product placement in comics by now, I honestly wasn't really shocked or dismayed by this cover. It only makes sense that someone like Baroness or Destro, who are far too cool on their own, would never be given this additional role as commander. Plus, if you look at the cover, Crake is the only one whose face is completely covered in the image other than Destro. And let's face it, at this point, that is Destro's face, right? I don't know if it's worth my time to go back and purchase the issues leading into the reveal as a collector, but I did go back and get the Crake variant of Cobra Civil War number 1 to put with this book. There's 3 different covers to G.I. Joe number 8, including an action figure cover that is cool, but doesn't really have anything to do with the story, and quite honestly, could have probably been done a lot better as well. In the end, I think this particular comic is a great pick for your personal comic collection, and that's why I chose it for the pick of the week. And I will be getting the collected story to read. It just makes sense. So hop on over to ComicCollectorLive.com and type G.I. Joe in the library search, and you'll be shocked to see all the real American hero goodness we cover on the site. Shocked, I tell you. You can find this issue and all images of the variants on ComicCollectorLive.com. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. I'm Steve Boyd, and that's my CCL Pick of the Week.
All right, I'm just gonna say that ending was epic. Come on, how fitting that line in? That was awesome. That being said, though, I can't say that I have that much interest in G.I. Joe. I don't know.
No, neither do I. Except Bruce Willis is going to be awesome in the next movie.
So yeah, I'm not that interested in it, but you know, you never know. Steve seemed to really like it. I don't think any of us 3 are reading it, so it's just going to kind of end here as far as the G.I. Joe talk goes. But what we
G.I. Joe tacos.
G.I. Joe talk goes. But that, oh wow, you just cracked me up, JS. You silly boy.
You like G.I. Joe tacos?
All right, I'm gonna talk about something that's fucking awesome though. So let's play some music that's gonna be awesome. Hold on. Sorry, I needed some powerful music here because it is something that is awesome. I made a commitment.
Powerful music, like what, a 1987 garage band? That's what it sounds like. But okay, continue. Sorry to
No, it's all good. It's all good. Irredeemable. I made a commitment to you guys last week that I would start this weekend. And man, it has been occupying some of my time over the last couple of days because I did get it on the weekend. I think I'm up to around issue 5 or 6, and oh my god, is it fucking awesome!
Yeah, dude, it's like what would have really happened for Superman.
I know, it is so good, and you know they're not afraid to do Dick All. I forget which issue it was, but he's there's a point where he is making a couple people fuck and pretend to be him and I don't know, that other chick. So it was awesome. Great. I'm looking forward to this, and you know, if anybody has not started Irredeemable, pick it up. Support Boom Studios. It's fucking amazing. Thank you very much, you two.
You're welcome, my sexy friend.
So that's all I wanted to say. I had nothing else to say about it, but I just wanted to kiss your guys' ass a little bit more.
Yeah, it's great, man. I have to admit, it's one of the best series. I haven't read anything else from Mark Waid, so I can't really tell you, or maybe I have, I just don't know.
Well, I liked it.
Theorizing that one could time travel within his own lifetime, writer Jason Dyer stepped into the Quantum Leap Accelerator and vanished. He awoke to find himself trapped in the past, facing comic book stories that were not his own, and driven by an unknown force to understand history for the better. His only guides on this journey are 3 friends, co-hosts of the Fanboy Buzz, who appear in the form of holograms that only Jason can see and hear. And so Jason Dyer finds himself leaping from comic to comic, striving to read what hasn't been read, and hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home.
All right. What I picked this week was Evil Ernie, War of the Dead from 1999. It was 3 issues. 1999, I was 13, going to 8th grade, got my first blowjob. It was a good year overall. Good year. Unfortunately, time was not as good to this comic book. You really needed to be a full-on reader to read this miniseries. Because I barely understood the book because it's been so long. And I loved Evil Ernie. Has lots of blood and gore. The art is pretty good, but the writing, it's really, really hokey and bad. This was the phase where they made Evil Ernie like this anti-hero kind of caricature of what he used to be as a villain. And then at the end, Evil Ernie nukes the entire world. So, you would pretty much have to read the last 2 years leading up to that comic book, because it also has Ernest Fairchild as a separate person, which Evil Ernie is Ernest Fairchild, and it's a weird sort of Hulk relationship they had for like a year. So even that is super confusing. Coming from a big Evil Ernie fan, this is not the miniseries to pick up. You really want to pick up the first sort of trade paperback to understand the story and really get the enjoyable characters. So, that year of my life was pretty good, but this comic was not so much. Too insider.
So, cause you've been a fan of Evil Ernie for a while, right?
Oh, since I was like, I don't know, 7.
Now, have you noticed the progress along the way, or is it just something
I know, I read everything. I read it in 1999. You know what I mean? And I haven't read it since. Like, when you're completely engrossed in the character and storylines and know how they evolve over years, you get this sort of inside knowledge. But this miniseries, I would have sort of refreshed years of obsessing over it to really get the full impact of the story.
So, because, like, I want to know, when you originally read this, though, it was actually seeming good to you? Like, you know...
Oh, I was loving it. I was loving it when it first came out, man. But then again, I was also 13. So, your taste changed from 13 to 25.
Fair enough, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was so 90s. It's definitely so 90s, and, you know... You get obsessed with the character, and... For me, like, looking back, there's Evil Ernie as a straight-up hero, there's Evil Ernie as an anti-hero, and there's Evil Ernie as a villain. He starts off being a villain, and that's sort of the best Evil Ernie that I like. So, depending on what you read in the progress of his life, you're gonna get, like, a certain portrayal. It's kind of like Godzilla, where he was, like, a villain, then he was... a hero, then he was, towards the 2000 movies, he was an anti-hero. So, it's sort of like the same progression with the Godzilla movies. If you are up on your Godzilla movies, which I think I was going to do a movie podcast about, because I watched every single Godzilla movie.
Yeah, you said you were going to.
I was, then I got distracted. But I did watch every single Godzilla movie a couple months back, and amazingness. Well, some of the 60s and 70s stuff was painful, but overall amazingness.
All right. Well, that sounds like you had a good year, and it sounds like comics sucked that year.
The 90s were not super kind to comics, even though that's the stuff I grew up reading.
Well, let's go into issue to issue here.
And now it's time for issue to issue.
All right, issue to issue. This was a Frenchman pick this week, so if you don't like these picks, just blame Quebec, like most people in the world do.
First thing first, I just want to say that I don't pick fucking issues like 7 or 6 of a series that we don't read. I pick number 1s, and I pick numbers that I know we are reading. So I'm just saying that. Let's just put that out there. I also pick choices that I know that my co-hosts will enjoy.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is that we're gonna start with Action Comics number 1. Oh, sorry, hold on. Let me just.
We've all read number 1.
Let me put my glasses on here.
Snap.
We've all read.
Oh, there
1.
we go. Sorry. It's Action Comics number 4, which I hadn't read 2 or 3. So, all right. Well,
the thing is, you've read number 1, so you do know the story.
Okay, because that's like saying okay.
Because picking issue number 26 when no one else is reading it is awesome.
All right, so JS, Mr. Angry Man over there, why don't you start us off?
Well, the first thing I want to bring up is Action Comic number 4. Second thing I want to bring up is what the fuck happened. It is the worst written fucking book I've read of the year. It's horrid. It's so bad that I sent a direct DM, sorry, not DM, but tweet message to, Jim Lee and obviously didn't get a reply. But I was insulted when I read this book. First of all, the characters are all over the fucking place. The writing is all over the fucking place. You don't really understand what's happening. Lex Luthor, who's supposed to be the smartest man on Earth, seems to be the dumbest man on Earth. Runs around with like a chicken with like no head.
Also known as running around with like a chicken with your head cut off.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I meant. But you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm gonna stop fucking. Worst comic I've ever read. What do you guys think?
I'll let Jason go first.
I thought it was pretty good, actually.
Yes.
This series so far. To me, I knew what was going on. Brainiac was invading. In the last issue, they show Brainiac invading and him capturing Kandor. So he's invading. He's getting all the robots to do his bidding on Earth. Superman fights off the robots. They introduce Steel because he feels like he has to sort of protect the planet and not be so suspicious of Superman. So they fight off robots together. Then Brainiac pretty much bottles of Metropolis. He pretty much bottled. I don't know if he did the whole thing or part of it, but that's pretty much what happened, or exactly what happened. It was easy to follow to me. It did get cluttered though. In the robot battles, those didn't flow super well. But I think it's been a good series overall. So he can write some really, really out there bad stuff. So right now it's like readable stuff.
Okay, so here's my take on it, JS. And do you want to just expose that wound so I can throw some salt in it? Cause,
Wait. I will say one thing in JS's defense. Lex Luthor is not acting like Lex Luthor. I'll agree with that one.
All right, so I agree on the Lex Luthor point. However, I said that the art, always good. The story, I felt you can connect with it.
Well, the art was shit. I'm sorry.
I have to say, in the few Action Comics, I'm not feeling shortchanged like some of the other titles. Like I feel like I'm getting my money's worth.
Are you kidding? You're the one who said that he acts like Batman.
What? No, I didn't.
Yes, you. Oh my god.
Okay, well then, if I did, I still like it. Whatever, right. I can still like it. And final note, definitely one of my favorites. I don't know what I said about number one. I don't remember. It was a while ago, but I did catch up when you put this on. And
how we felt it was like he was like Batman. He was angry. He throws a guy off a ledge, and that's not what.
Yeah,
Superman
well,
would.
Like I said, I did read the following issues after number one, and I'm liking it. I have to say,
I wouldn't go that far. It was probably the 6th most like comic book I read this week, maybe. But being up there, I don't necessarily look forward to the book, but I am surprised that it's this readable, because I really thought this one was going to fall on its face, which it still might, but so far it holds my interest, but it's not necessarily on the top of my stack.
Yeah, I didn't say it was on the top, but I'm liking it.
You said it was one of your favorites.
No,
so
I said,
what does that mean?
This guy so full of shit.
Okay, well then, it's still it is one of my favorites, but it's not like there's ones above it. Like I for sure. But I like it. I'm telling you, I like it.
All right, well, I guess I was wrong.
Fine. What'd you pick next?
I picked something for my dear friend Mr. Boyd because I knew he was gonna love it because he likes old shit remade into comic books. I chose Voltron #1 from Dynamite. And I will let Jason Dyer pick it up from here, and I will comment on it after.
I will not pick up issue 2 because I didn't think issue 1 was interesting enough for me to go for an issue 2. I found it overall confusing. Voltron can talk and is sentient now, or whatever. It didn't connect with me at all. I was not that interested. Voltron, sure, I really like the action figures, but as a TV show, I was never a big fan. So I'm definitely not gonna pick. If you're a super Ultron fan, I'm sure you'll like this book and enjoy it, but as a regular comic book reader, you're not gonna give a fuck. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. The only thing I liked was when he called the president, what do you call him? A bastard. That was pretty sweet.
I agree with you guys.
Oh, sorry. I was also going to say.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the where they're really introducing the characters to, man, did that drag. Like, if there was any good parts in it, it was before and after the 10 pages of introducing characters, but even those weren't that hot. Sorry,
yeah,
I will return it to you, JS.
It's okay. I was just to say, like, Dynamite is hit and miss when they retake title. Like, so take a property that was a well-known property and then make a comic book out of it. I did not enjoy the comic book. I was a bit confused because I'm not a huge Voltron fan, but I kind of know the background, and I was confused when I saw the pilots not piloting. And they actually said, like, Yellow Lion. Like, so what? He is the Yellow Lion, or he drives it, but he's not driving? Anyway, I was confused. And you know what I really wanted to see as a comic book? I wanted to see when I really liked that those 2 or 3 pages of the scientists getting kidnapped, and then Barack Obama, or it might not be Barack Obama, but
What's his name? What's his name?
Barack Obama.
Okay.
Isn't that his name?
Jason, you're the American. Do you want to clear this up for JS? Is it Barack Obama?
It's Barack Obama. It's not Barack Obama.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. So the American president and picks up that scientist and tells him that they just got attacked by aliens, and they need him to build a special weapon in case they come back. Like, to me, that was interesting. I would have liked to see more of that.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that it's not worth picking up number 2. Sorry, Dynamite, you didn't do.
I bet you Steve loved this too.
Yeah,
I can get.
And Steve, if you're listening, why don't you call into the podcast at 239-244-2899, or anybody can. Voltron number 1, go ahead. People sometimes actually wonder, if it's okay to call in and leave a message on, the previous week's subject. Well, go ahead. It's always worth bringing up because, like, in this scenario, it would work out great because we would have a message about it. Steve would then, it would segue perfectly, naturally flow into him giving his comment. And, you never know what that's going to lead to. So feel free to leave us a voicemail at 239-244-BUZZ. That's 239-244-2899. JS, what was your final pick?
My final pick was X-Club number 1.
So you're just going to leave it at that? X-Club number 1.
I think we should leave it at that, if you ask me.
It was okay. The writing was...
Yeah.
It did not interest me at all. There was nothing interesting in this comic book.
I wrote down I wanted to like it, but I couldn't. Like, I don't know. Just something about it. I really wanted to like it, but man, could I not like it at all. And when the fuck does this take place? I'm so confused.
It's taking place right now, like after Schism. Don't you see how Wolverine, there's a little panel of Wolverine getting mad because they're the X-Men. He's like, we're the X-Men from Utopia X-Men, we're the real X-Men.
Oh, okay, that makes sense now. But still, it's fuck, I don't know. It's not good.
Dude, it's horrid.
Don't pick it up.
Shit.
Don't pick up X-Club. I should have picked that up for my sucky comic because it's even a fucking terrible name. It's a fucking awful name. All right, well, I guess that quickly wraps up issue to issue. We're going to be a bit of a shorter podcast tonight, but let's go into the guy that matters, the segment that matters, the one that has the best music ever.
Jason Dyer. Rapid Fire. Review.
This week I read all indie but one. So for that guy last week, fuck you. I read indie books.
Which, by the way, before if you're going to do that, I better bring it up. He did send up a follow-up email, which I haven't bothered to forward yet. So he did apologize to you, Jason, a little bit. So,
all right, I take that back. This week I read Irredeemable 32. Some interesting backstory you get on the Irredeemable dude. His name is slipping me. Plutonian. There we go. Wolverine and the X-Men number 2 I thought was just a messy issue. The art was just really not very good. The Strange Talent of Luther Strode is still a worthwhile read at number 3. Still recommend people to pick it up. Heart number 2 I think is great. Another one people should pick up. Spaceman number 2 it still piques my interest, but I'm still not understanding the full story. It's one of those things where I think it's going to have an ending that reveals sort of the book. Like, if you read the first 2 issues, you're going to kind of be like, what the hell's going on? So, yeah, you have to wait for the payoff. The Last of the Greats number 3 was just fucking creepy. This book is one of the edgier, creepier books out there, because, like, the last issue, this dude, like, fed like a little kid to a shark and stuff, and this and this issue is even creepier than that issue was. And Wayward Sons number 1 I thought was really good. You should check this out. It's out of a little indie company called Twinkle Planet Studios. It's also a web comic, so you can find like further like issues of it, and you can get it free on Comixology. That's how I got it, was free on Comixology. You can get the holiday issue and issue number 1. I really like the premise, so you have no excuse not to read this. You know, get it off Comixology for free, or just like Google it. Google Wayward Sons Legends. It is the full title, number 1, or the title itself, and you'll find where you're looking at. So, a free comic book I picked up, and now I'm going to order the first 2 trade paperbacks signed, because I thought the first issue sets up a really cool premise. I'm just hoping they execute on it. And that's it. So, whatever, I'm done.
That gets me thinking. I wonder if we should start a sort of indie segment where we each week pick one indie title to talk about. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I always review indie comic books.
I know,
but you want to
do. But like, there's so much indie stuff out there that, you know, it's whenever somebody mentions indie, it's kind of hit and miss whether or not we've all read it. So I'm thinking we should maybe start including indie more often.
Well, that's always a good thing to do, but you know, to get Steve to read an indie book, I mean, it's pretty hard. Let's be honest here.
All right, well then we'll be the 3 of us, and then Steve will feel left out, and he'll have to read it. So
there you go.
So Jason, do you want to take that responsibility each week? Because you know my picks are always crappy.
You want me to pick one indie issue a week?
Yeah, we can even throw it in issue to issue.
Ooh, it's hard. Some weeks are better for others than indies. Sometimes they come in clumps. So.
Oh, okay, well, we'll do it whenever then. Whenever, you know, we can always sometimes.
Whenever I see a number 1 that perks up that I think you other guys should read, then I'll name that one. So it can be sort of just like a, whenever I read something that snaps off the page.
Or if somebody leaves us a voicemail suggesting one, a voicemail, not an email, a voicemail suggesting one, it might just get us to read it, because, you know, we want our voicemail line to be used, and it's more interesting to play a voicemail. When it comes down to it on an audio-based medium, it kind of makes more sense to play a voicemail than read out an email. It just flows a little better. So,
well, I don't care about any of what you just said right there. I'm sorry, but the problem is, you know, it is good to get suggestions from fans, because there's so much indie stuff out there. I just can't. I'm not exposed to all of it, so I need people to tell me. Always telling me, you know, something new to read. Because, yeah, I'm pretty knowledgeable about indie books, but not as knowledgeable as other people, or other people might be reading a little title over here, a little here, and I've just never heard of it, so I haven't read it yet. So, you know, participation's pretty sweet when you get it for indie books, because there's just millions of indie books, it seems, from webcomics and up.
Yeah, I will make a commitment. If somebody wants to leave a voicemail, leave me a voicemail and suggest one. As long as I can, you know, get my hands on it, whether it's them sending me a review copy or my store carrying it, as long as I can get my hands on it, I will review it. Until, of course, our voicemail line blows up with them. But for now, I will make that commitment that at least I will read it. I will let the guys know. And
yeah, I mean, even my friend told me that she had a friend that did an independent comic book, and I reviewed it a couple of weeks ago, and I said it was like okay for like an indie book sort of thing.
Unfortunately, I get a lot of requests by email, and it's kind of tough to pick them because we do get a reasonable amount by email. So maybe I'll start pulling out some of those a bit more and get my motivation together by putting it towards the podcast. Get some of the other guys to read it.
Well, if other indie guys want to, give us their stuff to look at and review, just know I will give a straightforward review. Like, there are some hosts that will just sort of muddle through, not say they like it, not say they hate it, or there's other hosts that if they hate your book, they're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I like the truth when it comes to comic books. Like, I always like the truth. Like I'll blow someone in. Like Jonathan London. When we had him on the podcast, he really wanted to look at my comic book, and he said, "Oh, I'll review it on your show. I'll review it on your show." And he has a policy: if he reviews something and he doesn't like it, he won't talk about it. So I like my book. So it's another tag to put on my book, Jonathan London, not approved by.
Well, no, I'll start doing that. We always, like I said, we do get more and more reviews. Maybe I'll go through my email. I'll try to dig up some of the ones. And, I always tell people who request reviews, like, if you want me to do this, I'm going to tell it straight. And there's been so much that most of the time I go and I pick one that sounds interesting, and in turn it often ends up being a positive review. However, I've had past writers of Project Fanboy send me a review, and I haven't given it such a favorable review, and there's other which I have said are freaking awesome. So, you got to be honest when it comes to reviewing a title, and if somebody it's kind of like a reference to me. If you're going to go and ask somebody for a reference for something, you better know that it's going to be good, right? Because some people will just tell it as it is. They'll put it in a sealed envelope, and you're never going to know whether they're saying good or bad things. So, but with reviews, it's different.
I lost you towards the end. I don't know what you're talking about now. Let's just move on.
All right, let's head into some fanboy feedback then.
Tweet, 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 tweet.
Fanboy Feedback.
Jason, I'll give you one guess where we're going to start.
God bless it!
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, it's Gammer Sith. I just thought I'd drop a couple of deals on the issues and plug myself in this a little bit. On the X-Men thing, it says in the first issue of X-Men 1 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, pardon me, cold medicine's working my brain out, so I'm kind of weird here. Said that it's basically it's the X for the X factor of their genes. It's their powers and stuff. That's about all it. All this other stuff with the X gene and all this other shit, it's probably a Claremont invention from like 30 years later. Who knows? X-Men suck right now, so it really doesn't matter. This is coming from a big X-Men fan from back in the day. But anyway, also, I'm not taking issue with Mr. Dyer. I know that he pulled people off on Facebook. I just happened to notice that one time. Was curious, and I know he's just giving me shit all the time when I call him because, well, I have no life compared to other people. And so he's probably going, oh, God, this no-life person's calling in again. Come on. Also, I wanted to plug my vlog that I do. I try to do on Facebook. It's under Gamera Sith. It's also under on YouTube. I've done several reviews of stuff. Not necessarily the best reviews in the world, but hey, you never know. But try me out at Facebook, Gamera Sith, and you'll hear my rant on the Green Arrow issues that I just read a while back. God, they were trash. Anyway, I'm going to go now, and good podcast as usual. Glad to see the full crew's back, and hope you guys have happy holidays. Bye.
So, happy to let you plug that there. You always leave us a voicemail. Now, this leads perfectly into what does the X stand for? We'll start with some Twitter feedback. Brandon Barrows responded to us, and he said, according to Stan Lee, it's, quote, extra. Jason, what do you think about that?
I think he's a liar. Filthy liar.
Isn't he known for bullshitting all the time?
Stan Lee, yeah.
Like the biggest bullshitter in the world.
For sure. We also had Andrew Petit, and he said Xavier. I think they call themselves X-Men because they started out as students of Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. Now that goes in hand with what Jason said, right?
Yeah, but I think there's just a little bit of a different logic than what that guy said, but I agree with the premise. Xavier is what X stands for.
We also had, and I have no clue how you say this, All Hell is Mr. Sun on Twitter. I think that's what it is. All Hell is Mr. Sun. He also said extra powers, and he said according to Stan anyway, so that's 2 votes. That's 2 votes for extra. Heading into the Facebook avenue, Facebook, we had Ray Wagner say, pretty sure it's for the mutant X gene they were all born with. That goes with, was it Steve?
JS, the winning champion.
The winning champion.
Winning what? You've never won anything on this show.
And as Gamma Assist said, didn't Gamma Assist say it was for he heard it was for the X Factor, which goes kind of what I was saying. So we are in the exact same situation we were at last week.
Nothing has been solved here. Nothing.
So if you want a problem not solved, send it over to the Fanboy Buzz, and we're happy to not solve it for you. But the thing that I found interesting was the extra thing with Stan Lee, right? Because that's 2 separate people who said Stan Lee says extra. Now, as you pointed out, he's a complete bullshitter. And the second thing was that Gamma Sith there actually pointed out the issue, saying like from the beginning something about that. Now, Gamma Sith, if you want to email me or Skype me if you see me, whatever it is, if you can tell me the issue and the page, maybe if you have it, you can scan it or something, or we can track it down. Just if you can point me in the right direction, I would love to look at that, because that might actually solve it. If we can pull out that page, post it on the site, and that'll solve it. So if you can let me know, because it was Gamma Sith that said that, right? I think so. So let me know. Let me know. I think that's about doing it for now. JS, anything you want to plug?
Nope. Nothing. I need to start finding some new shit to read, because I got nothing to read, and it's not, I don't have, and I need to bring back my segments.
You do. It's I gotta bring mine back next week.
I'm segment lacking.
Jason, anything on your plate you got going on right now?
Working on some stuff. I got a contract sent over from Disney to work on something, but I don't know if we can sign it. Yeah. It's not comic books, it's not anything like that, but it is the Disney Corporation. The problem with Disney Corporation contracts is they want to own all the intellectual property that you create during your employment there. So anything I do during the employment, they would copyright and own. So that's the giant. So it's basically I would have to exclusively work for them and not come up with my own shit at home, or at least it would be hard for them to prove I made it up at home. But it's a super restrictive contract, but it it's interesting in my business life right now. So
wow, that's crazy. I don't know. I think you might want to go investigate it a bit more, because you said a bunch of times on here, who do you have to blow to get a contract at Marvel? And, this is your avenue in there.
Well, it's not for comic books.
No, I know, but Marvel's owned by Disney, so you never know.
It's for Disney proper. It's for,
But all you got to do is start with the BJ to the Disney guy. Then,
the BJs?
Start giving the BJ there, and then you can move forward, and next thing you know, you're giving a blowjob to someone at Marvel, and then you go.
The BJs?
All right, well, signing off for the Fanboy Buzz, I'm Steven Jandrew.
I'm Stephen Boyd.
And I am kind of hungry.
Have a great night.
You've been listening to the Fanboy Buzz. The Fanboy Buzz is funded by advertising and listeners like you. For information on how you can donate, please visit support.fanboybuzz.com. Got questions, comments, or suggestions for our next episode of the Fanboy Buzz? Email them to podcast@fanboybuzz.com or give us a call at 239-244-BUZZ. That's 239-244-2899. Follow us on the Twitter sphere at twitter.fanboybuzz.com or become a Facebook fan at facebook.fanboybuzz.com. The Fanboy Buzz is produced and edited by Stephen John Drew of ProjectFanboy.com.